Hello, this is Jeff Neville for Selective Imagery. Welcome to 3 Days Later. This is in reference to the last video I did called Joy and Despair at Huntington Beach State Park that documented a fish kill that occurred on last Friday. So this is a follow-up to that, and we will show you how things are, as I said, 3 days later. We'll start off with these gators, and these are on the pond side when you first walk up the causeway from the parking area, and these are probably around 5 feet long, 6 feet possibly, and they're just hanging out where the body of water starts, doing a little fishing, doing a little relaxation for the day. And so I'll just let you watch a few clips that I streamed together of their activity early in the morning. And this is real early in the morning, so I did bump up the exposure settings a little bit. And as you can see, this one's chewing on something near the weeds, and it pretty much hung out in that same location most of the time, this one particular gator anyway. The other one kind of roamed around a bit more to get food and did a little bit of swimming. So this is at an end of the pond where you wouldn't see any of the fish that had died from the fish kill. They were at the opposite end of the pond. Nothing like having a little bit of grasses with your fish, I guess, here. Fun to watch. The gators are always fun to watch, and they're usually the first thing that anyone who's a tourist visiting, that's the first thing they want to know. Are there gators here? Where are they? Now we're heading up to the opposite end of the pond towards the park exit, and this is where you're going to see really the effects from what I saw on Friday. What looks like little white dots in the background are actually all the mullet that I saw die on Friday, and they may have died also on Saturday, but it takes a while for them to float to the top after they have passed away. So as I scan across, you can see there are quite a few fish floating at the top. The flounder are no longer visible. I'm assuming the gators took care of them, and I'll also assume that over time the gators will take care of what's floating on the top right now. The birds will not eat the dead fish. I mean, it's pretty rare. I mean, they want live fish. They want to catch the fish themselves. They want to eat healthy fish. They don't want to eat dead fish. Alligators, they don't care. They'll eat anything. So this is just kind of showing you the activity. A lot of birds early in the morning. That's a good thing. So everything isn't bad. I mean, there's always good with the bad, as they say, correct? There's always a lot of great egrets You know, some of them shied away from um, the dead fish, whereas others would be right next to some of them. Didn't seem to care. Here's a beautiful lighting on this great egret early in the morning. In a nice gathering. We'll just watch this for a minute or two. I like the pinkish flowers in the back as well. They're very pretty. Obviously what you're seeing right now is not very pretty. As you can see in the upper right hand corner, there is a gator. Have not seen any gators eat these fish when I'm here in the morning. Obviously somebody's eating them. Now, just to break things up a bit, we'll put in a flower, some flowers for you to look at to cheer you up after seeing that. Like I said, always look for something else to take a picture of. Now, one thing that was here a lot were gulls. And I'll talk about what they're eating in a little bit. There were a lot of laughing gulls that were in different stages of adulthood. And, you know, when they're adults, you know, their head is entirely black. When they're younger, maybe half of the head is black or a little bit less. And then when they're really young, they're more tan in their coloration. It's always fun to find a two-headed ibis. I love getting pictures like this that kind of just make you laugh a little bit. Now here's a short video clip of a blue heron. Not a great blue heron, but a blue heron. Caught an eel. It has a great egret next to it, which thankfully is leaving it alone and not trying to steal it. And you can watch this bird chow down this eel. Now finally, I did not see any what I would of fish die, you know, while I was there today. The temperature has cooled down a little bit. We did have some brief showers. I mean, anything to cool the water down is a good thing. This is on the marsh side. Great Egret getting a snack. And also on the marsh side, one Spoonbill and one IBIS. And here's just a video clip of that great egret that was next to the blue heron and was nice enough not to steal the eel from it. Just taking a very leisurely stroll around that mound of grass. Now sometimes you'll find gators laying in that mound. I know there were nests from small birds that are inside that mound. Once in a while, one of the larger birds, like this one or a great blue, might try walking through it. But it is a hangout. I mean, obviously, whenever you have a little island or a little mound, you're going to get fish that like to hide, you know, up against the bank, in between some of the reeds. So, you know, the birds do tend to congregate around there once in a while, you know, to get some easy food. And the gators, you'll have some days where that island is surrounded by gators. Not on this day though. Just a real slow walk and checking out the neighborhood. Now here we move on and find a green heron walking up this branch on the tree. And here's a video clip of a gull that has got what is at the top of the menu for the day for all these gulls, which is shrimp. And he's got a good size one and he's just flying off. This was very early in the morning, shooting farther out in the pond to a little island. Now here you're going to see this gull basically catching very small shrimp that'll be jumping out of the water. And it'll basically, you know, catch them as it flies by, and it almost drags its belly on the water. I mean, the feet are dragging half the time. It almost looks like it's just bouncing off the water as it's flying. But it is catching these very small shrimp that even when you look at it in a picture, at times just look like a little splash of water, because they're so small that they're translucent at this point. They don't really have any color. So you're like, what in the heck is it eating? Or what is that skinny little translucent thing sticking out of the water? And it's these very small shrimp. And what's funny is when any bird is flying over the water, it tends to get shrimp, whether it's skimmers or gulls or terns. It almost seems like these fish aren't they're not very smart, because instead of just staying under the water, they must see the shadow from the bird. They start freaking out and they start coming to the surface and jumping around. And here's a crab that finds one of its friends that got regurgitated and was actually eating a fellow crab. And this bird's keeping an eye on everything, the yellow-crowned night heron. And this was a pretty shot of, some preening going on and nice color, beautiful lighting here, early morning. And here you go. Here's that gull going for that shrimp. It just looks like a little sliver of slime coming out of the water. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and give me some comments and share with other people, and I would appreciate it. I'm gonna rant a little bit here. The previous video was shared on Facebook, which didn't please the park management too much. They feel that the photographers and a lot of us are just picking on the park. Well, we'll give the park kudos where they deserve kudos. I mean, they have a wonderful loggerhead turtle program, protecting the turtles, looking after the nests. They do a fantastic job, and they get my applause for that, as well as my applause for trying to protect nesting areas for birds that are endangered or close to being endangered, shorebirds and whatnot. They do a great job with that. But here's my question: is humans, mankind, put that causeway in? Okay, we affected nature. The rangers lots of times like to say, well, let nature be. We don't want to do anything to disturb nature. We don't want to, create some viewing areas here in certain spots by, cutting down some shrubs or some overgrowth. Let nature be nature. Well, we didn't let nature be nature when we put this road in to allow humans to have access to two beach areas and to enjoy the marsh and to enjoy the ponds and whatnot. So it's our obligation, and it's the obligation of the Park Service, to protect what lives in the park, whether they're on the pond side or the marsh side. Now, if there's a resource problem, you should bring it up to the Park Service, the Director of Park Services. You should bring it up to politicians to get more funding or what have you. The salinity levels should be getting checked on a regular basis. I know they do get checked. I don't know how often, but obviously that's critical. You have a brackish water environment in the pond. If the salt levels were to go down, there's a lot of saltwater fish in there that would die. If you have grasses and vegetation that's a little out of control, that's going to lead to oxygen depletion when the temperature gets high, which it's been, which is probably the cause of this fish kill. And the fish kill could have been prevented. You could have been flowing water in from the marsh side into the pond to keep fresh movement of water and oxygenated water going in. The water temperature would go down a little bit, since we haven't had an awful lot of rain, at least not in the last couple weeks anyway. But there's things you can do. And basically, if you're not willing to use the devices that you have to raise or lower water levels or refresh the water and do things like that, then, as you like to say, let nature be nature. Then get rid of those obstructions. Open up the pipes. Allow the water to flow naturally from one side to the other like it did before the road got put in. and truly let nature be nature and see what happens. If you don't have the manpower and you don't have the time to do these types of things, there's no shame in admitting that, and I don't know if that's what the problem is, but don't lash out at those that care about the park as much as you do. Instead, work with the photographers, work with the community, work with the people that go there to camp, have some meetings, discuss things that are going on in the park. Let us know what you're doing, what you're not doing, or why you can't do certain things. I mean, you know that July and August are the hottest parts of the year down here. You should be testing the oxygen level on the pond side. You should be monitoring it. If you don't have equipment to see what the oxygen level is, then you should ask for some equipment or ask for some donations so that you can buy the equipment, so that you can prevent these fish kills from happening. There are things that can be done. So, you know, everybody needs to just try to work together here and make it a good place for everyone to enjoy and protect what's in the park. So let's hope that things just improve and that there's at some point some healthy conversation and dialogue going on. And I'll leave it at that. And everybody, you know, have a good week. Get out there, take some great photos, enjoy the hobby, and have a good one. And remember, enjoy life. Capture some of it.